Getting to work next to Ernest Borgnine was also a thrill. I mean, this is Marty, he's an Oscar winner, and he's playing my father in a further episode where we explore their backstory. And so, you know, Ernie's there and he's sitting right next to me. And one of the things in animation is we try and get a 2-3 page run. So if you do this, you know, microphones are so sensitive they hear that. So there's a certain technique for moving your pages silently. You just, you crimp up the top corner and then just, you move like that. You do it you have a music stand and just, you move it very quietly if you can along and try not, you know, whenever there's no sound. Ernie didn't know that, so he's making all this noise and I'm like, so I said, Ernie, let me show you. So I show him the paging technique and he goes, look at this, I'm 70 years old, I'm learning something new every day from this guy. You know, so it's like he was thrilled, he was like a big kid, he learned a new trick in the acting game, you know.
So I'm going to mention a few people, and if you could, describe them in one word.
Oh.
You ready?
All right.
Merv Griffin.
Nice. Ooh.
Yakov Smirnoff.
What a country, terrific guy, very generous spirit.
Sam Kinison.
A genius, oh!
You've worked with these people.
Sam was one of my dearest friends, and before and after. And yeah, I miss him very much.
Rodney Dangerfield.
To get serious for a second, I got to tell you a story about Rodney. He was great, not terribly approachable. Pull up to the theater, and it's only his name out there. And I hear he's like, we go in the theater, he's saying, "What the hell's going on, man? I had to work shit joints all my life, okay? I'd go out there and it'd say the star's name and then dancing in Scungil. All right, I know what it's like to go on with no billing. You get somebody out there and put that kid's name up there or I ain't going on tonight, all right? Okay, all right." He was truly angry and I was like sitting there talking to his road manager. I don't want to make a big deal. I'm just here at the opening act. It's okay. And he goes, Don't get in this, kid. Don't get in this. So I'm sitting in my dressing room, you know, we're about 2 hours away from the show, and I'm just sitting there twiddling my thumbs and not wanting to wrinkle my shirt and stuff. I'm in the suit already. And he says, "Hey, kid, come here." With the road manager, we go out and he opens the stage door, and sure enough, there's a guy on a cherry picker putting my name up in you know, just one letter at a time and 50% billing. I always got 50% billing with Ronnie, even in Las Vegas at Caesars. 50% billing for the opening act. So Rodney Dangerfield, I can't do it in one word. I'd never known anybody who was so generous to young comedians. He did the Young Comedian special and then 2 more HBO specials that he modeled on the young comedians. He couldn't call them young comedians, but he brought us Sam Kinison, he brought us Yakov, he brought us Bob Saget, he brought us Rita Rudner, Louis Anderson. We all did our first appearances on the 9th annual Young Comedian special, and then the following specials, Jerry Seinfeld, Andrew Dice Clay, you know, Kinison again. He was a huge Kinison booster. So there's no one word to say. He was one of the most generous performers, also one of the most troubled and neurotic, but boy did he know his stuff. He was a craftsman. He was just the single best stand-up comedian I've ever worked with. Every time he went on, and I got to know his act verbatim, every time he went out, it was like the first, like he was coming up with it off the top of his head. If you watched An Evening with Rodney Dangerfield, you went out to a theater and saw it, it looked like Rodney was just making this stuff up as he goes. It was the exact same act every night, and he just made it look so fresh, you know, like a singer who's interpreting a song. Sinatra was he was like a Sinatra of comedy. Sinatra could go out and he just made it feel like, you know, I just learned this song just for me tonight. He's singing it right to me. Rodney made you feel that way with his jokes, even though it was very much a set act. He made you feel as though he's improvising on the spot just for you, and you were in a big party. So he's great.
How about the Queen, June Foray?
June.
Who did Rocky and Bullwinkle?
Yeah, June's still going strong, and she's a legend. You know, I worked with her like a month ago on an episode of Garfield. You know, and you know she gets driven now. She can't drive anymore, but she has a helper, Dave Nimitz, who takes care of her, and God bless you. And yeah, she's again a legend, and she's worked with the best, and she's got great stories and a sweet lady, and yet there's something that seems rather fragile about her. I mean, she's really like 4'10" or something like that, very tiny lady. But when you think of the career this woman's had, you just, wow, you know, everything from Rocky and Bullwinkle to Playboy massage videos. I mean,
She was, yeah, really. She was on Steve Allen's radio program.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
yeah. Her and Dawes Butler were the two voice actors that were, before he was on TV or anything.
Yeah.
Mike Myers.
Known him since he was 8 years old. Mike is, again, he was a talented little kid, ball of energy, just, you know, your eye went to him no matter what. And I've only met him a couple of times as an adult, although he remembered me. And I was actually over at John Lovitz's house, and he had his nice place in Malibu, and we were out on the deck, and he was playing with John's new dog, and I said, "You probably don't remember me but I knew you at Lescon Road Public School." And he looked up, he goes, "Oh yeah, you were the guy who did all the voices." You know, it was like he even remembered me and my goofy voices then, and and I'm actually. We stay in regular touch with Paul, his brother, Paul Myers, who's written a wonderful book about Todd Rundgren. He's a wonderful author and a musician in his own right. So, yeah.
And finally, Matt Groening.
Matt Groening.
Matt Groening, I knew that.
I know, everybody messes up those vowels. It's okay. Matt, I've never met anybody who so specifically knows what he wants and envisions a world and just makes it come to life. He's an artist and a writer. He's a double threat, and a really sweet guy. We've gone for sushi a couple of times, and he's a big sushi lover. But yeah, I've never felt like I was more being piloted. You know, and yet he leaves things open. There's always open to suggestions, but you watch him and make his notes, and every note he has, he's so specific and so correct that he's never struck a false note in any correction he's got for a scene or add this or whatever. It's like, of course, that's exactly the brilliant thing to do there.
And is he there actively participating?
Oh, absolutely. He in fact, I think he has a running gag. He'll say to people, at Comic-Con, they'll say, "Which do you prefer, The Simpsons or Futurama?" He'll always say, "Well, okay, it's like this. The Simpsons is a great cartoon show, and Futurama is real." So to him, even in the Futurama universe, The Simpsons was a cartoon show that was on television in the 20th century, and he also, The Simpsons, is his and Jim Brooks's and Sam Simon's, even though he came in with the sketches. The comedy writer guys kind of also put their imprimatur on it and developed it. With Futurama, it's Matt's, and with a lot of help from David X. Cohen, but it's absolutely Matt's vision. And David, is there as guiding the show along as well and running the show, but it is absolutely his baby.
We have a few minutes left. Our time has flown by here. There's two things I wanted to be sure and ask before we leave. The first of all is, okay, you're 53. You've done a lot of work, as we have discussed here. You've done stuff that we still haven't
Can I keep
covered.
this?
You can keep that, absolutely.
I had no idea.
Show your son when you get home.
I had no idea.
Yeah, there you go.
It's unbelievable.
It is, isn't it? And look at how much more there is to do. What do you see for Maurice LaMarche going forward here? Is there something you'd like to do that you haven't done? You always hear actors say, "Well, I'd like to get back to the stage," or "I'd like to do a movie with so-and-so." Do you have a creative goal to yourself other than just doing the work that they're giving you to do, personally?
Again, grateful incredibly for the career I've got, and really I view my job as just showing up to be of service. Anytime if I'm needed, as I always walk into any job, what can I do for you? I've learned to turn that around through certain spiritual suggestions that I've gotten, and so I'm happy to do that. But if I've got an ambition, I think to myself, it might be. I'd like to get back to the stand-up stage at some point. Get just back up on a stage with me and a microphone and just do that. Yeah, well,
We'd like to see that.
tell you what, the problem is my day job, this voiceover thing, keeps me busy so much that by the time I'm home, I'm wiped, because, you know, it is, on the flip side of the coin, as Greg Berger, another great voice actor who's on Garfield, says, our job is brilliance brilliance on demand. You know, we can't just stand in a line in a factory and make widgets. We go, you know, the director says, okay, I want an orange cat who has, you know, who's got a very lackadaisical attitude and just loves pizza. Go, be brilliant. So it's brilliance on demand. So sometimes you know, you're in there and you can't just do an adequate job. So there's that. And I don't have a lot of energy left by the end of the day. I basically have, you know, time to eat dinner and maybe you know, have a nice conversation with friends. But I'm wiped. And writing a stand-up comedy act is like writing a short novel. You know, if you buy Jerry Seinfeld's first book, you know, that's basically a stand-up act. It's about that thick. Now I know you do. You know, you write a stand-up act the same way that you eat an entire cow, one bite at a time. So one joke at a time. So I have started writing down my thoughts over the last couple of years, and I'll put them in my iPhone or my iPad, and I've got, you know, a little notepad in there. So little by little, I am working towards it, but it does take time. Writing a good stand-up, you know, a good 20 minutes, 25-minute stand-up act, or a one-man show, which is another thing about in the back burner, will take some time. But I hope to get up and in front of an audience again, because I love talking to people. This has been great.
We couldn't tell that at all, could we? No, huh? Well, I'll tell you what, when you get your comedy legs back and you want to open out of town, we'll be glad to be here for you.
I'll come try it out. Thank you.
So, Maurice, advice for somebody who wants to do what you do, what in God's name would you tell all these ADD kids out here that there is hope in the future? What would you say to an aspiring, you know what, I said that before they were through, this is going to come down. So what would you tell
I had the baked beans for dinner, I'm sorry.
Yes, there it is.
Knocked it down. What would I tell them? I'd say, first thing I'd say is wait till I'm dead. Then you can go and take over voiceovers. Okay, voice acting is acting. So if you want to be a voice actor, the first thing I'd say is study acting. Get in a regular scene study class. Get in an improv class. It's not just making funny voices into a microphone. It's an acting work. It's an acting job where you just don't have to worry about those troublesome things called hair, lighting, makeup, hitting your mark and staying in the key light. It's just, you get to do pure acting right there without memorization, but you're still acting. So I would work on my acting chops first and foremost, and learn to develop characters, learn to tell the truth in a moment, you know, all that stuff that we call the process. But you know, it's that. So work on your acting chops, and then from there do a voiceover reel, get with a good producer. I think for instance, if you're going to pursue the big time of voice acting, you got to do it in Los Angeles and get with a good producer in Los Angeles. Somebody like Bill Holmes. Or Mark Grau, and do a demo tape, and then shop that demo tape around to all the voiceover agents. There's a wonderful thing called the Los Angeles Voice Acting Guide, or the Guide to Los Angeles Voice Actors. Can't remember exactly what it's called. It's available online, and it lists every great thing. What do you call it? Resource for every class, every recording studio, every demo producer. Get that. It's available online, but definitely work on your acting chops first, and then the rest will come. And it's not an easy community to break into, because it is a community. But once you get your first job will beget your second job begets your third job, onwards, because they want to work with people they know, and they know will show up, be on time, and deliver a performance. But I would say definitely start with being an actor first.
Our time is done, and we could do this all day. I have so many more questions to ask him, but
They couldn't. They'd be,
yeah.
how long can this guy go on about himself?
You know? No, it's not just about you, and that's it. Your heart is very evident, very clear. When I saw Maurice the first time, what made him unique spoke to me very, very quickly.
You're very kind.
And
Same with you, my friend.
It's who you are.
You're a warm guy, and that's why I gravitated towards you. You attacked me drunkenly that night.
2 years ago, he introduced me to present an award at the Eisners.
Yeah.
And he introduced me, and I got a big hug from him. And I got back to the table, and I told my wife, I said, "Boy, I just blew it. I had a great line. I should have said, I just got a hug from the man who makes the Fruit Loops commercials. You know, we celebrate each other's talents, but we celebrate each other's humanity. And what's happening today is an act of kindness on Maurice's part. The theater has donated the use of this building. Atlantis has flown him up so that he can be here. And the phone's ringing, I'm gonna kill it. So, the rest of the day, we're gonna be back at the store. These two posters on either side of the poster here, the Futurama posters, will be given free to anyone who makes a donation. If you donate $10, for every $10 you donate, Maurice will sign 3 items. We have Futurama comics, we have characters of the cartoons he's done, and for a $20 donation, he will record on your cell phone or any electronic device you have any of his cartoon voices. So
Yeah, I'll do like your answering machine if you want the brain to go. Steve is not in right now. He's out helping me take over the world, you know, something like that. Then, you know, and if your name's not Steve, I'll change it to what your name is. So yeah, for a $20 donation, you'll never get me that cheap again. But it's a donation, so I'm doing it literally. I'm doing it for free. You're just helping Levi Castro when you do that, and for that you get to have any one of my characters that have been on TV. As your outgoing voice message, you know, if you so want, or if you want me to just say hi to a friend of yours, whatever you'd like. So yeah, that's and I'm glad to do it, but again, be as generous as you can.
Now, for those of you who cannot make it back to the store, Maurice will be at the shop from 12:30 to 6:30. If you can't make it, and you would still like to donate, Hillary's at the back of the theater. She'll be glad to take a donation from you for Levi. We're hoping to contribute to his new standing frame that he is desperately in need of. But come visit Maurice at the store.
Yeah.
And
say howdy.
and
Tell
have
your
some
friends.
fun. Please, ladies and gentlemen, join with me in thanking the 2011 Emmy winner for Best Voice Actor Performance, Mr. Maurice.
Woo!